when the lights die down and most go home, and chairs sit empty with lights dimmed. The most devout block explorers wipe the sleep from their eyes and step into the night to light a bonfire for the after-party. Beyond Bitcoin wants to thank everyone for our continued growth, and please remember, it never would be possible without block explorers like you joining hands in the dark to reach for the stars and beyond. These hangouts might go about 4 hours, and I'm prepared to go longer, and we might need to cut them in half and stuff. And I will also let you guys know that if you want to, while you're here, if you want to record these hangouts and cut out your portions and, post them to Steemit as your own portion, that you want people just to, target in on your content. This is stuff that, it gets completely around the upvoting thing that we have here. So if you want to do that and you get on here and you want the benefit of being the first heard, you can use this content for your own use. I will say, please consider that I use these main hangouts, the SBD from them, to actually build some tools that I'm going to be required to have to try to help the attendees of Hangouts like you guys are attending right now in the future to be able to be rewarded by those who are guest speakers or, moderators, community management tools. So please consider helping us out with, upvoting our content, and don't be afraid that I'm going to use that money for evil, because I'm using it for energy to build the things that I think we all need for open source community management tools. So you can build a guild of upvoters and content creators essentially that surround you. But anyway, with that said, I will, whenever you guys are ready, just let us know.
I think it's great what you're doing here and how you encourage people to utilize, like you were saying, cut out your own chunk and promote that way. And so thank you so much for hosting.
Well, the thing that I've always told everybody in BitShares is it's like mining for gold, and people are the real gold. We always attribute the value to other things that we make valuable. You know what I mean? We tend to forget that, wait, gold is valuable because we can use it in cool things like electronics. There's a reason why things are valuable, and it's generally because we create the value and we attribute it to the other things. So if we can get people to display their value and show it to the world and not be afraid that somebody is going to stomp on their, well, then guess what? We don't have to worry about evil people like God, all the people who are in power today, shutting down our voices or, making people feel like they don't have power, because that's bullshit. I hate to say it that way, but that's exactly what it is, right? When you choose to act and you choose to just let people know that you exist and you have value and you can create and build the things that you want to in this world, then a lot of the people who are in power are afraid of people who feel that powerful. Even they can't fight it.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
But anyway, you just introduced a rant.
And I think what you hit on something really important there is that, for millennia, we've been valuing things you mine out of the ground over people. I think it's finally time we value people for, recognize the true value they naturally have.
Well, yeah, and we have the tools now, right? And I think that a lot of the stuff that you see today, all of the, it looks worse than it's ever looked, but it's partially because, it's more visible than it's ever been. Have politics become more corrupt, or has the technology just become an amplifier? And we're in a place where, you can join this little Mumble server and hold your own public meetings and record it and, post it to SoundCloud, and, you can post it to a number of other places. And if they can't shut you down. You know what I mean? Like, it's really something that's amazing that the internet's opened up for us, isn't it? We're pretty empowered by this thing. It's also why we know that Hillary Clinton should give up those 33,000 emails. We have a lot of people who aren't stupid in technology these days either.
On a related note, not that I'm promoting torrenting, but look at what happened with the Pirate Bay and authorities trying to go after them, and now look at all of the mirrors that exist for that.
Yeah, and I always wonder how many of them are honeypots. That's the
what
thing.
Doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
Yeah, it's it's interesting though, because the fight to us now is over a universal public library called the internet. I mean, when you really think about it, it's like, do we have rights to the library or no? And some people at the very, very tip top are like, oh, you should have limited rights just so we can let you know what you need.
Yeah, control mechanism.
Yeah.
So it looks like Psycho Chica made it in.
But then, well, first off, you guys are on here at $3.39 and 11 upvotes. And if you reach out to the people in your group of 160 people, you're probably going to take over our little Beyond Bitcoin hangouts. So just, I keep telling people, leverage the community that trusts you. Trust is gold. So, anyway, I won't go any further with that, but I will say, thank you for joining us today. You guys are going to be talking about Steemprentice, and I've been following you guys for a while. I'm kind of busy curating all kinds of stuff, and I probably miss far more than I should have, all kinds of different things. But you guys actually go around and talk about the good things that other people are accomplishing in Steam, and those are the ones that I generally see. But I'm probably the worst person when you guys are in the room to be discussing and talking about what you do and why you think it's valuable. So why don't I just zip my mouth and let you guys step up to the podium?
Sure.
Sound good?
I mean, it kind of all stemmed from a need of, about 4 or 6 weeks ago, we all saw those kind of frustrated minnow kind of posts just everywhere. This was a little before Curie and Robinhood Whale came in. So I know myself and some other people kind of took on a few one-on-one mentors just to try and, do something about it. But you get burned out so quick. Like just 2 to 3 is kind of the top that I could handle, and really expect anyone else to reasonably handle at once. And so at that point, it's really difficult to kind of find who else is available, who's got time, who's even, a good person to refer to. So that's kind of where the idea came in to do this, the mentoring group, where it's really a little more of a crowdsourcing model. There's no scheduling. There's no really little organization. If you feel like, helping out, just monitor the channel when you're there. And if you feel like doing something, great. If you don't, there's no pressure. But there's always someone that eventually picks it up. Most of the time, I kind of monitor it throughout the day and mornings, and we'll scroll back and just kind of at least make sure people get their stuff answered. It's just gone really well. I mean, it's we get to give lots of good feedback. Really, I'd say 95% of the time, any suggestions we have has nothing to do with the content itself. It's usually very strong stuff. It's just little tweaks of, let's kind of put the marketing spin on it a little. Let's do this title. Let's use this for the thumbnail. Here's kind of where you can put it as far as some of the other channels. Most people, they have good stuff. It's just that little, how do you stand out from a list? Because everything on Steemit is your thing in a huge list, even in feeds. We all kind of know that now.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, since then, we've, we spend most of the time in the channel just kind of answering questions. We put together a bunch of different resources. We've got kind of a small little FAQ that's kind of nice for the newbie. P-Funk helped us with some of the do's and don'ts. We mentioned don't at all in the chat room at least 3 times that I can think of. But again, just kind of gets into some of the marketing. I've put a list of my channels that I promote in. It's just kind of trying to be open, and it's nice seeing other people win. There's some in particular. I remember a BMW writer, when he came into the group, he maybe had made, I think, $1 in payout over like a month. So he never saw anything really pop. And then within that first day, I think he had like a $20 or $40 post because he got picked up by Kiri. And it's not about the money so much. It's really a sense of that user retention, just general happiness sort of thing. Most people on here don't need this to be a living. $20 or $30 gets them excited beyond no tomorrow. And that's what keeps people around and wants them to keep sharing and putting in more. And a lot of those people that we were helping 3 or 4 weeks ago are now stepping up and helping other people that come in. They may not have every skill that everyone else has, but everyone's got some perspective to put on it.
It's cool. That's what I like about what you guys are doing, is that you're focusing on helping people identify the value. Now, the question that I would ask you is, what are a few things that you are doing to help them? And, what are some of the mistakes that new users to Steam might be making that would be easy fixes and would help them significantly? Very small change sometimes can be a very effective way of maximizing the value that you return on your work, right?
Again, with those 95% of cases, I'm really not making any critiques on the content. It's just there, and we're just building from that. So really the biggest things is, again, that kind of little marketing sense of, I like strong, catchy titles. I put out one yesterday called "Kicking Depression's Ass." That's going to stick out from the crowd. That's going to, it's all about just getting that little click. So, just tweaking what you had. Let me pull one up here. There was one just yesterday. I was working with the Stone Date, and it was, the title he had at the time was like, learning how to meditate from a squirrel or something like that, which isn't bad. But he ended up, after we talked about it, he tweaked it to something like the way of the universe through a squirrel or something along those lines, where it's just,
the way of the squirrel, master of Zen.
That's the one. And literally within like 20 to 30 minutes, he was already picked up by Curie and a couple others, and at like $27. We didn't touch his content at all. So just those thinking about those titles, because I like to tell people, put yourself in the position of your reader. You're sitting there in Steemit chat, or you're sitting there in your feed. What do you click on when there's hundreds of things that go by? Anyone that's on the Steemit for, say, a month kind of goes through that realization of, I'm not going to keep up with all of this. You try, you burn out, and you realize you just can't. So with that in mind, what would you read when it's in a list? What draws your eye? And that's kind of the main trick that we're kind of conveying, that it's hard sometimes to kind of come up with those out of thin air. So it's nice to be able to kind of, let's brainstorm a little bit, let's put some ideas out there, because I don't have to take my idea. I like it even better, like that one with the squirrel. The author actually is the one that ended up coming up with that name. He came up with a better one than I did. So it's not about it being mine or anything like that. It's, let's just find something that's good and works and applies.
Yep.
And ideally, it comes from the author.
Yep. I don't know if people understand it or not. I think that it's a lesson that I've learned. But you have to remind yourselves sometimes that, the best way of letting value emerge is by just trying to help people let that value emerge. It's kind of allowing that blank slate to be there, and they will, people will find what they're best at and what they're, it can't be all chaos. You have to have some structure to everything, which you guys have a group that seems to be that you're building that's going to naturally kind of emerge and help each other though. So you will see people helping, and like you said, whenever, for instance, in your Rocket chat group, it's Steemprentice, right? Is how people would find it.
Yep.
That people would just help moderate, just naturally. You could call them a moderator. That could be their one of their callings in life. It's something that they naturally like to do. If you put them in a place, they will moderate. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But you wouldn't know that if you asked them, are you a moderator? You just have to put them there, or they have to join up and be part of it. And it emerges on its own. And then you go, holy crap, there's a spark. There's a spark. A lot of people call it the chicken and egg problem. But whenever you realize that, it takes a chicken to make an egg, and if you get a bunch of chickens together, they're going to make eggs. You don't have to worry about much else. The eggs are going to come. You just kind of have to understand the process. And it's kind of subjective on some levels though, right? So it's a little bit harder than that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like you're saying, it's kind of building the environment for things to just kind of naturally happen a little more on their own. Again, the whole idea out of this was, how can we be able to provide these services while also minimizing mentor burnout, because it really didn't do us any good if everyone had a week or two in them and then they'd be done. So from the beginning, we had quite a few different mentors kind of come in, or people wanting to come in. Virtual Growth, Cryptic, and Gonzo were there from really early on, and that alone took a lot of the load off me. But kind of what you were saying there, as far as, I remember some of the conversations where a lot of people came in wanting to help, but they kind of had that mindset almost of, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. I don't necessarily think of myself as a mentor, a teacher, an expert, but they still were more than willing to do it. And after, I'd say, a week, I think just about everyone that had any sort of kind of personal hesitancies about trying to, I don't even want to say putting a label on themselves, but just confidence in what they have to give. You can kind of see that little flip of the switch, where suddenly it's not like I'm trying to present anything. It's just, here's my take, here's my suggestions. Nothing's being forced on anyone's throat. But it was really nice kind of seeing the mentor kind of side of that as well, kind of go through that little, let's call it evolution for lack of a better term, and just kind of get comfortable in their own skin, because there's things that I'd really try not to give critique on, because it's not my area. Like a lot of fiction, a lot of poetry, I personally am not one that usually cares about form. I think in concept. So it's way better for me to let Gonzo or Cryptic or some of the other people have a go if they're actually wanting content. And that's kind of what you alluded to earlier, of no one has all of the skills. I've kind of enjoyed the saying for a long time of, it's not who you know or what you know, it's knowing who knows what. And that's kind of some of the role I've been playing a little bit myself. And if I don't know how to do something, or someone's looking for poetry or fiction feedback, I know the people that can get it to them. Or now we've got like the writer exchange that just came up that's very nice. Just trying these in there to handle a lot of the more science-based sort of things. We even have various people that do multi-language. So just being able to help with wording or help with translations, because we have a lot of non-native English speakers on here that their native languages are kind of underserved right now. I know that there's a lot of help as far as like Chinese and Russian, and Kiri's picking up Spanish now, which is wonderful. So we've got some of the others that aren't necessarily out there. We do have some Indonesians, some Filipinos in the group that, even if they do have English, sometimes it's just that little rewording to kind of, I don't know, let it flow a little bit better.
I just
But
wanted to add that one thing that's great about Steemit is it allows people who have interesting content, whatever kind of content that is, it allows them to monetize that more easily without having to do the work you would have to do with a normal blog of advertising and worrying about design layout and that sort of stuff. Steemit on its own helps with that, but I think that this project makes that even better because there's people in the channel who do know little things you can do to make your format look better, and that way content creators can concentrate on what they're good at.
So, out of curiosity, have you guys spent time in cryptocurrency before Steem?
not myself. I mean, I'd heard of Bitcoin over the years and had some friends that had done some early mining or some early altcoin mining. But I'd never dabbled in it myself. This was my entrance to crypto, and I've kind of been learning along the way. Yeah, it looks like Roulite Faye was the same way. A lot of the people in Steemprentice are kind of, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of them seem to be very similar, where this is kind of their first entrance to crypto, almost coming in more from the social media side versus the crypto side of things.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to ask you, because the interesting thing is we have the opportunity here. As you can see, all of you can record these Hangouts. You can record just your own portion of the Hangout and then, of course, post it to your own SoundCloud, or, ask me to post it to our SoundCloud. And we have these tools here, and a lot of the stuff that you guys are naturally talking about and what you're doing, and I'm watching your work grow and catch a little bit of wind. And I find myself thinking these are the types of things that enable cryptocurrencies, that build the communities that cryptocurrencies rely on, each blockchain will rely on. And I would like to I'd like to let you know that I don't consider Beyond Bitcoin mine, but I have control of the server thanks to Joey, who runs it for me. But we have multiple administrators and we have multiple rooms. So if you guys ever want to, let people know that they can record their own work in here, they don't need to just join a Hangout with me. They have a very valuable voice on their own, as long as they're persistent and show people. This is a tool that is available to any of them. So I do want to let you guys know, if you guys see this as a tool that you can use, open up the toolbox. It'll be free of charge, and we can all work together as a team on different things.
That's really cool, and definitely appreciate that. I've been trying to I've been having to catch up a little in the last few days. I also got made mod of Project Positivity channel over there, so I've been trying to help out that side. But it's definitely been on my radar to either something along the lines of doing like a newbie webinar, or something a little more interactive based, ideally. But I'll definitely let some of the others know, because we've all kind of heard those discussions of there's got to be ways outside of just writing or blogging to be able to kind of generate wealth on here. We've seen the marketplace go a little bit, so I love having resources like this available to kind of direct people towards, and just have at hand to go and sing a song, go and have a talk, do whatever you want. I mean, having that video doesn't really lose that much nowadays if you know how to talk to a screen.
Yeah, well, and the thing that I've noticed is a lot of people, sure, they might be able to watch a YouTube video here or there, but you can listen to something everywhere you go, in a long car ride, or, there's a lot of things you can do just with SoundCloud and a cell phone, and the thing that I think for me is the most important is that I want to empower people who see things exactly like this, because, like you said, it's very difficult when it's just, a couple people doing it. We've been coming together for 3 years, and I rely on all these people to even have a hangout. But the fact of the matter is, that if there are other people who are into community building who want to have that tool, I mean, it's just, there's not enough time for us in our hangout to cover everything. We cannot cover everything. It's just the simple fact. So, we have other people get the ability to do that, and I think it's a win-win.
That's definitely
win, baby.
Well, I think that's kind of one of the unstated things that kind of goes on, not just in the group, but in general on Steemit. That kind of building each other up. I without going down like a philosophical rabbit hole, I view Steemit as that social experiment. Is where can it kind of build and ideally be sustainable in not just the technical sense, but literally as that social backbone. Kind of like you were talking about before, especially in third world countries and things like that. Getting that $20-$30 a day or per post, that goes a long way.
Huge.
So I mean, to me, that's very exciting as far as starting to kind of pull things together. I mean, I've never really been a fan of we'll just say nationalism. To me, people are people. I really don't care what nationality you are. If you're a good person and trying to do good things, then I am all for it, regardless of everything else. And that's kind of where I see this being able to tap into is, if you just get the good people on board, the motivated people on board, there are so many win-wins. It's not a zero-sum game.
And they might run into a wall numerous times, but if they are good people with good intentions and they are actually moving, they will eventually get to where they need to go. That's really
exactly
all that matters.
What's your take on? I'm sorry, I'm jumping in here. What's your take on curation awards versus authoring new post awards? What strategies would you give out quickly that would help people that are more on the curation side than on the authoring side?
Well, the first thing, as far as on the curation side, if you're brand new, I haven't dug a whole lot into the curation guilds yet, so I'll have to kind of touch on that a little separately, because until I see how it works, I can really only say so much. But in general, if you're coming in for curation, I really didn't start seeing much of an effect myself on the curation side till I started nearing about 1,000 SP. I know usually I hear about 3,000 SP where it becomes profitable. But I love how no one can see my air quotes as I'm doing them here. But with the big thing on curation, I personally do everything manual. I'm not against other people doing bots, but I like being able to click stuff. I like being able to use my votes for things beyond curation. Sometimes I just like it. I don't care if I'm going to get 0.001 SP out of it. But for those that are focusing
upvoting
on
a comment.
Yeah, upvoting a comment. I mean, there's times I'll come to a post that's already got, a few $100s in it. I know it's been voted up, but I still liked it. I still wanted to put my vote to it. It had nothing to do with the money.
That's pretty much the model that I'm using. Is I just enjoy the platform and comment and post votes, upvote where I think it's appropriate. It's just driven by my interest and my curiosity more than anything else. I don't really pay that much attention to the monetary aspect, but I really want to, because I have some goals that I really need some money to achieve, and so that's why I'm asking that question.
What I would recommend, and this is because I do put some of my votes to curation, but without rehashing, I kind of have other focuses too. But on curation side, the first thing I would start recommending is start noticing trends, like what people are hot, what people are not. Let's use Dollar Vigilante, for example. I ended up picking him up on follow, shortly after he came in. because sometimes I would read his stuff, but overall I was looking for the curation rewards because we all knew every one of those was going to be popping to, 700, 800, maybe $1,000 more, even more early on. So if you kind of notice those people that you see doing the same high payouts over and over, if you're focusing on curation, put them on follow. Put them on a list, not a bot voting list, but just something where you see their stuff come in. I was able to be getting in at 15 to 30 minutes past their post just because I would see it posted.
So even before you deal with the following, it's a matter of how you monitor your feed.
Exactly. I mean, that's really what curation is on the manual sense. And that's really what it is in the underlying ideal anyway, is you're not necessarily voting on stuff that you're saying is good. You're voting on stuff that you're saying is popular. And that's why I don't always focus on curation, because I don't always care about popular. But in the sense of making money, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for where the trends are, not so much just on the author, but you're really looking at what is it that the community itself and the vast majority of the influential votes are going towards. So
that means that your feed list shouldn't be driven just by your curiosity, but it should be driven instead by more of what's popular. So you have to kind of pay attention to the breadth of the platform in order to establish what's on your feed list. And that's not the strategy I've used so far. So thank you. That's very helpful.
Absolutely.
Or what you expect to be popular. I posted, I just typed into the chat here that, people who are good at predicting currency trends should just as well be able to predict content trends.
I mean, kind of the flip of this, just as far as the trending, but back to the content curator side, there's trending that goes on as far as the upvoting itself, as far as if you're trying to get your own stuff picked up. For example, Curie really doesn't pick up Steemit related posts. It has to be something extraordinary. There's other people in groups that if you kind of see what they do, sometimes they put their rules flat out there, and that makes it easy. If you go in the Curie group, you'll actually start seeing their list kind of tweaks from time to time. So you can actually kind of start figuring out what topics are actually hot. I mean, if I go back 2 months, the big hot thing to be posting was guides. How to use Steemit, how to get picked up on Steemit, how to do this, how to do that. Everything was a Steemit guide, and everyone was making $100, $200, sometimes more. No one gives a crap about that now. I still put them out periodically for the group, but I don't expect them to get picked up by any big voters. So in that same sense of trending, now you can start looking at kind of some of those more fringe things that, in particular, the Curie seems to be focusing on, of trying to not just reward, but fill out some of those more fringe areas. I remember a few weeks ago, there was kind of talk of that first big MMA post that made some hundreds of dollars. Those are the things that drive people over to those areas. I'm not saying it's always, the most ideal, but it's effective of, hey, there was an $800 post in the MMA section. Maybe I should post something over there. And that's how you fill out those other kind of tags and subtags and things like that too. But just kind of, follow the trends itself as far as what you're posting. When I first came on here, for example, I was kind of, doing my Utopia talk and stuff like that. And it's still stuff I enjoy and I bring up periodically. But I found out really quickly that even though I rarely talked about LGBT issues, that's what was picked up here. That's kind of what was in demand at the time. So, I mean, personally, I've kind of adapted what I put out into, I'll put like a third of this out, a third of this out, and then a third of whatever I want. Because it's still going to be fun, and I'm not outside of my comfort zone, but that's kind of what determines what topics come up to the top of my list of what am I going to put out today out of these 10 things I've got on my to-do list. Yeah. Exactly. Not everything is for money, but sometimes that's what you want.
But, Sick, the thing is, you can look at it another way and say, people want, the market wants this, and how can I get my voice in there to get across what I care about using this theme that seems to be popular right now. You know what I mean? Like you see the best writers and advertisers doing this. Like
it's kind of like you have an
say,
agenda. It's kind of like you have an agenda, but you want to use the popularity in order to achieve that agenda. Is that kind of what you're saying, Fuzzy?
Well, everybody has an agenda. The question is, and this is what, we're all free market here, or so we say. So what we end up coming down to is, let's say, we have to use the tools that are available to us, because if you don't, someone else will, and they might have bad intentions. So it's one of those kinds of things, like, you know what I mean? Like, don't disarm yourself, utilize the tools, utilize the trends. Really, I mean, is the end lesson there. I mean, people know it. That's a simple title change can change a lot.
Well, just to give you a case in point example, I just put a link in here to one of my friend's posts from some weeks ago, where one of the kind of hotter areas for a little bit has been the do-it-yourself. But as this author explained to me in real life, it's really boring reading instruction manuals. They're dry, they're informative, but they're boring. So this was kind of how he approached it. Of instead of saying do-it-yourself dryer balls, he ends up doing do-it-yourself dryer balls from Mars, and the front picture is the rover here. The content is all there, but he breaks it into a sense of a story to kind of keep it entertaining. So it's also a matter of, how do I see where the trends are, and how can I tweak this, not just so it stands out, but so it's actually fun.
Not only that, but the ingenuity behind that title and image there is that, I mean, this is for a large part, there's a lot of geeks on this platform, and this captures the geek interest level. So even though the content may not be directly related to that, or only very nebulously related to that, you can pick up people clicking on it, and they're into the article reading it, and they may find it interesting anyways.
Oh, exactly. And I don't find it, I heard a lot of the arguments as far as clickbait and stuff like that. I would feel differently if, it was a do-it-yourself dryer ball that had a hot chick on the cover to get people in. But in this sense, it's creative, and I see it as still being honest, just an ingenuitive way of putting it out.
It is still kind of clickbait, but in a much less obvious and brash sense than what a sexual clickbait would be.
Right. I don't take offense to this version of it. If I find an article, that is the sexual clickbait and it has nothing to do with the story whatsoever, I'm a little annoyed.
Exactly. Yeah.
It at least connects, and I appreciate that. He's done a few of these like that. I've actually pulled that concept myself from him a couple of times. This is one of the guys that does some of the other stuff with me. There's a lot of local people that we've pulled in now.
Sure. Well, I'll say this. What I do, for me, kind of a rule of thumb, is if somebody posts, usually because I can't, I focus on beyond Bitcoin. So I upvote people who write good content on there, but I really want Hangouts, especially things like this, for beyond Bitcoin. But what I do is I upvote the content that's on there that I think is good. But the thing that I don't upvote is, when somebody is creating clickbait and then I open it up and I look at it and I'm reading through it, and it's like, go here and buy this, or this will make you a lot of money. Like, I try to focus on the stuff that's giving somebody value, trying to teach them about something. And, if you say something like, you can buy this here, I don't mind that. But, people need to really realize that if you focus on trying to give people, I'm distorting.
Just a little bit.
It's pretty bad, actually, but we can understand you.
That's not good enough.
Yeah, Rubelite Faye kind of hit the ground running when she came in here this last week. I don't even think she really knew quite how powerful the buzzwords and the topics she was putting out for her first post was, but it was just perfect for here.
Could I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I'm somebody who could benefit from virtual growth. I'm going up next actually for SteemfestDreamers, but I think it's a great idea because I'm just like a lot of people like you were talking about, that I'm not a developer or anything. I'm just somebody who found Steemit because, I'm interested in crypto because I don't trust the central banking system or whatever, but hot
button.
So I've gained a little traction. I've had a lot of fun. I've been addicted to it, but y'all have made a lot of really good points already, stuff that I've learned over time. But yeah, I could definitely benefit from something like that. I may have missed it, but are y'all still doing the apprenticeships? Is there still a service like that I could maybe get involved in? Or I may have missed it when y'all talked about it earlier.
Oh no, it's just fine. Basically, it's a public group. Just join Steemprentice.
Richard, you're causing an echo.
I am.
Yeah, there's quite an echo. Does somebody here have
Yeah, Richard.
Yeah.
You need to push to talk.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Let me figure that out.
No problem.
It's okay.
I think it's under like configure settings and somewhere in there.
And for now, you can just use the mute button.
But to answer your question, it's definitely still going on. There's no end in sight. So all you need to do, hop into Steemit chat and then Steemprentice channel. It's completely open to the public, so you don't even have to worry about the forums or anything like that. Originally, when I made the group, we were going to do it invite only to create thinking it would create less problems, but it seemed to just slow stuff down. So I just kind of took that all away, let everyone join as they want. And the only times I kind of ask for forums are more from the mentor side now, just so I kind of get an idea of personalized skills. But I can still usually build that up by talking to him anyway. So yeah, feel free to hop in. We've got a bunch of resources in our little tab area, the pin tab. We've got a Steemprentice fact that we've got out on Google Docs that does take suggestions. So again, that same sense, it's kind of a crowdsourced form. It's nowhere near as full on as the crypto fiends that he just put out. That was an impressive basic fact. But yeah, just hop in. You can ask anything you want in channel. You can ask for feedback in channel. We've got the only thing we ask is if you're doing promotion as far as the links, to put it in the links channel. But if you're putting anything in the main one, we take it as I'm looking for suggestions.
Thank you very much for joining us today. I don't know what's going on with my other mic right now, so I'm just going to be using the other one. Thank you very much for joining us. And like I say to everybody, this server is here for you guys to use. We are, if you have another show and you want it to be, affiliated and working with the Beyond Bitcoin network, please let us know. Please, add the Beyond Bitcoin tag to your content so we can see it and so I can try to cover it. And if you want to cover stuff as a Beyond Bitcoin representative, feel free to do that. This is a tool that is part of the toolbox, and I want to use the network of people I have who want to imbue value and give back to the people who are creating value in the ecosystem. I want to mobilize whales to be able to do that stuff. So please help me help you guys on that. And thank you guys for what you're doing, because without people like you guys doing this stuff, there wouldn't be, there's too much to do. We cannot compete. Like we might be competing in some ways, like with different other individuals in the ecosystem, but we all have so much to do that like competition should not even be a thing that we really talk about. So thank you guys very much. And speaking of that, Richard Krill, did you get your mic stuff set up?
Great, thank you. And thanks
No
for
problem.
inviting me here. I'm not a developer, obviously, or anything like that. This is just something, like I already kind of mentioned, that I came across, and I'm, the Steemfest Dreamers is the campaign that I'm doing, which basically just is trying to help people like me who are wanting to go to Steemfest. Is the audio still okay?
Sounds perfect.
Yep. Okay, great. So you can find it with the tag Steemfest Dreamers or just Steemfest. So the first post, I was trying to raise some funds for myself to go, and I put in there that if it did well, if it made it over 500, then the rest would go to somebody else. If it didn't make 500, then it would just be donated to somebody else or to the travel reimbursement fund. And it got a little bit. It did okay. I was able to buy a ticket for Mr. Wang, which I was happy about. And then the second one kind of was a bust, the second post I did. And now this last one, I'm giving away a free ticket right now. I basically copied what I saw. I'm not sure how to say it, Sarah J and myself. That post did pretty well by giving away the ticket that they couldn't use. So that's, oh, hey there, I see your text. But anyways, I was just copying that, and it's doing a little better, but right now I'm going to end up having to donate a little of my own funds, which I'm happy to do. I'm really just wanting to help people go to Steemfest and in that way help Steem it. But anyways, basically, I'm kind of changing gears a little bit on it. I've decided to find a different way to fund my trip. So from now on, all the posts, whatever liquid funds I get to that will go back to the Steemians that are trying to go to Steemfest or the travel reimbursement fund, one or the other. And what I would like to do is more than just be able to buy tickets for people. I think there's probably some people who, would love to go and they just can't make it. They're like me. They don't have a lot of money sitting around and they live far away from Amsterdam. And so they're just having trouble making it a reality. So if it got popular enough, it would be something where we could make donations to people like that needed help with a plane ticket, with paying for the hotel, all of it. So I'm still kind of changing it as I go, but that's the basic
curiosity. Do you mind if I interrupt you real quick and just ask you, have you been approached by any people who, for instance, have said, well, we won't be able to pay for anything, but we have, a couch where somebody can sleep if they're a well-known person, in the ecosystem, and they didn't just make their account and take a picture, with the Steemit logo and an axe in their hand or something, like something basic where they could say, well, we can offer this, and this, or we can offer a ride, or, have you considered maybe that would be another avenue to get human capital working toward the end goal?
I had not. That's a great idea. I had considered other individuals making just donations to other individuals through the campaign, but I hadn't even considered the couch surfing side of it and being a liaison between people that have an opportunity like that for people that need it. That's a great idea. I'll definitely look into that.
I don't know in terms of what we have for developers, but I'm sure that there are a lot of people on Steam who are developers too. And if you looked around, I would be surprised if you couldn't make a site where people could, because there's something called the sharing economy that's emerging right around the time that the cryptocurrency economy was emerging, or at least that's when I noticed that it was starting to become a big thing. And I think both of them are kind of like part of the Internet of Things and moving towards that. But they're definitely different or interesting places to look for this type of stuff, because part of the sharing economy is that, there are people who might have a house that they don't live in 9 months out of the year in this location, or, and they say, we'll loan this house to you, and, we just need money to be held in escrow in case something gets broken or something like that. There are sites out there where you can actually put up and say, I can help you with this if you're in this location. So I'd be interested to see how something like that could be leveraged for Steemit. And it's just an idea, and it's a big one, but just something to think about that might come from something like this.
I agree. There's great power in that, obviously, like Airbnb or Uber, all that cooperative type stuff is obviously blowing up the share economy. That's the way of the future, I think. I think Steemit is a good example of how that's working. But yeah, I can't believe I didn't even really consider that yet. I'm definitely going to look into trying to, because myself, if I can make the trip, which I'm pretty sure I'll be able to, I'm probably going to look into staying in a little bit cheaper hostel than what's there, and just trying to save money other ways. And I was considering, looking what's available and offering some stuff like that. But for some reason, I just hadn't yet thought about Airbnb and couch surfing and that. So yeah, that'll be the next part of
another
it.
thing that might be an interesting thing for you. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep coming up with all these things, but if you can get people to go and get hostel rooms in bulk or something like that, I don't know if that stuff's possible, but there are definitely different things that people can work together on with respect to maybe getting lodging for cheaper, or going together and working towards something like that might be a valuable way. If there's somebody who's close by, maybe they could drive. Well, where are you living?
I'm in Texas.
Are you flying?
Yeah, I'll be flying.
Oh, wow. So you're going a distance.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, maybe you could create like a little guide on how to go too. How I set up and saved money on going to Steemfest. I bet that post could make some money.
Great idea. Actually, I have a post about the first time I was able to make it to Amsterdam, and I just saved some money and went and, stayed in cheap hostels and had like the time of my life. But yeah, I could totally write a guide. You're full of good ideas, man. I really appreciate you inviting me here and helping me out today.
Well, I'm not trying to come here so you can tell me I've got good ideas, but I do appreciate that if you want to use some of the ideas. It's just, there's so many. It's just so cool to see how many people do we have on the list today who are all doing something. You know what I mean? Like, how can we not help those people? And you're one of them, dude. So thank you. Definitely, man. Thank you. And that's what I'm trying to do too. I think there's a lot of people that are in my shoes, that would love to go to Steemfest. They found out about Steemit, that they're addicted to it like me. They're having a blast with it. And then now we're going to go to Amsterdam and have a party. I mean, like, who wouldn't be excited about that? So I think there's a lot of people that want to go and they're just having trouble making it there. So that's really all SteemfestDreamers is all about. And as far as like a different, cheaper hostel in bulk, that's another great idea. I'm going to look into that. Obviously, I would have to kind of have some momentum already before I could start really making that a possibility. But as far as the couch surfing and stuff like that, that's I'm definitely that's gonna be the next part of how I'm trying to make it a reality for the SteemfestDreamers.
Well, the whole idea of doing this for various conferences and venues that people want to travel to for crypto or Steam or anything else is of great interest to me as well, because I plan on attending Jeff Berwick's shindig down there in Acapulco this year, and I'm looking for these same ideas to apply to that.
Wow, good point, because I would love to do that as well. And I had already thought about, for the rest, the rest of the Steemfests after this one, that I would continue my campaign if it's successful. But if I could turn it into something to help people go to, like an Acapulco or something like that, that would be something I would be very interested in as well.
By the way, while we're here, I mean, I'm not exactly a new Steemite, but there's a lot about it that I don't know. And for one thing, for example, how would I contact a user if I know? Is there a direct way to be able to message people on Steam?
The only way just Steemit chat. If it's kind of hard sometimes because they don't have the same username as they use on Steemit, but most people do. I use my same username, and I've been able to get a hold of most people that I was trying to in that way.
Okay, thank you for that. I haven't been on Steemit chat very much, maybe a couple of times, so I'll look into that a little bit deeper.
You can also send people money. So this is non-linear one. You can, like, if you go to your wallet and say send Steem dollars, like you can send someone 10 cents or something and send them a message, and then it's public. But you're paying them a little bit of money, and you're trying to tell them something. Probably shouldn't be abused, but it is a way if you have no other way to get in touch with someone on Steemit.
Actually,
that
I
you
think
can do
that's probably the best way because not only is that a direct way, it gives them a little bit of an incentive to come and talk with you.
Well, actually, from what I understand, you can actually private message somebody by spending that very little amount of SPD, but then you put a hashtag before your message, and it makes it private.
It's not working right now.
Yeah, I tried it. Didn't work, but I think it's supposed to work. I don't know. Maybe it works,
Yeah, it's supposed to work. It did it at one point when I was sending out all my super secret emails or messages.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
is
it
there
may have been a temporary error.
Yeah, well, that's generally what happens in code, isn't it? If the people are good at what they're doing, right? Non-linear.
Yeah, things happen, and then they need to be told it's a bug and fix it. So maybe it's fixed by now. Someone should try it.
Well, before we move on to you, because you're next, Richard Krill, do you have anything else you'd like to bring up, or does anybody here have anything they would like to bring up with him regarding the Steemfest Dreamers?
Well, I will look you up, Richard, and we can perhaps talk a little bit more about this whole idea because I think that's a great idea, and I've tried to pioneer that myself to some degree, but not in a very effective or focused way. So I think I'll contact you later under Steam, and we'll talk about this a little bit more.
Great, thank you for that. That's about all I had to say for it. I just want to make sure everybody knows that I am giving away a free Steemfest ticket right now. It was just like Sergey's post. You just put your comment. You can add a picture, and the one with the most votes will win the ticket. Well, you'll be disqualified if it's bot voting or anything like that. But besides that, the comment with the most votes wins the ticket. And I'll be just getting the promo code and sending it to you, so you can put your own name on it and all that. And then after that, if I can get some more support, really it's all about just finding support from somebody with some real Steam power, which I've got a little bit of that. Like the first post made $100 and it got 130 upvotes, which was a big deal for me because I'm a minnow on here. So in my mind, it's already been successful, but obviously, if we're going to help very many other Steemfest Dreamers, we're going to need a lot more support. So hopefully this doesn't die. Because right now, if this post that I'm doing right now doesn't make enough, I'll just be having to spend my own money to buy another ticket, which I had to use a little bit of mine on the last one because it didn't quite get there, which I'm happy to do. I realized that was part of it to begin with, and I'm happy to be sending some people to Steemfest. So I'm not worried about that. It's just that obviously I can't keep doing that unless I get some steam behind it.
Well, another thing that I will say, just to finish this up, is the mentioning that it could die. This is something that a lot of the whales I think need to think about, is how we can cooperate to help initiatives a little bit more, help to identify those initiatives, and we need the tools to do so. And, Mumble, like we have here, is just one tool. SteamSpeak, which is something that Fursican and some of the people who are here offer, is another tool, which is, they're two different things that are very similar. So, those are tools. Then you have the written word, which is another tool. Then you have YouTube videos that you could create, or YouTube Hangouts, or, all these different platforms to build what you want to build. And I just want to try to, put something in perspective, because though you're working on something that's awesome, if we don't have the tools yet, and the whales don't have the tools yet to identify and upvote all of it, it's also because there's a lot going on behind the scenes. But once we start working together to build some of these tools, it's going to become easier and easier to identify things like what you're doing and upvote them substantially by a lot of whales. And I want you guys to hold out and recognize that, but I also want you guys to recognize that some of the ways that we can fix these things is by looking at it from maybe a different perspective. Because you guys might if you guys look at my Fuzzy Vest account, a lot of people will go, oh my God, Fuzzy's rich. But they won't realize that I haven't been paid for this for probably 3 years, actually paid out of pocket. And I've gotten help from some of you guys in here. So thank you for some of the tools that I want to build. But I'm not in the place where I can go, despite the fact that some people might think otherwise. So what I've been thinking is, well, what if I held another Steemfest somewhere else closer to me, right? These are things that we can do. Geographical boundaries. Of course, everybody wants to go to Amsterdam. I would like to go to Amsterdam and go to one of their special coffee shops. That would be something that I would like to have on my bucket list crossed off. But I could go to Nashville or something like that, which is close by. Or, we have all these different places where, there's, you could have one in Colorado if that was a prereq for everybody who shows up. But that's kind of beside the point. I guess what I'm saying is there's nothing keeping us from having other Steemfests in different locations and funding all of that. And trying to, those are things that we can do. And that might be another option. And I'm not trying to say that yours won't work, but man, you have to think about all these different ways of doing it. Unfortunately, at least until we have all the tools and the system is not beta, because we're like 4.5 months into it now. So not all the tools are available, but Nonlinear One has a tool that he think will help, right? Nonlinear One?
Yes, I hope so. Yes. Hi.
And I will say that you are next with 4 votes at $3.16. And you were planning on talking about ThunderWhale. So why don't you talk about ThunderWhale?
Okay. So if people who have been, checking in on this Hangout for the past couple of weeks, that I've been talking about this sort of the whale issue and sort of the disproportionate voting power and sort of the n-squared law, all these things, and some of it gets kind of mathematical, but the point being, that whales have a lot more voting power, and it's even worse than you think. So and I have a bunch of posts on that. You can check my feed for that. But so basically this what I did last night is I launched a post where I don't know what happened, but all this information kind of came together in my brain and said, like, here's something that might work. So that's where it came from. And it's basically, I tried to have some fun with it and put a little bit of professional elbow grease into it. And I actually made it like a white paper, which I thought was fun. And there's if you check the, I'll drop the link in the channel. Hold on. Linked on my, so read it.
Did the audio go out for anyone else?
Yeah, I'm not hearing it either.
Yeah, I think he's looking something up. Sounded like he was.
Oh, hello. Sorry. Sorry about that. I wasn't holding the push to talk.
I thought it sounded like you kind of stepped away because I heard your voice get a little bit dimmer, like you were like trying to grab something to read off to people or something.
The helicopter showed up and took me away.
Be careful with that, man. That stuff might be possible, actually.
I know.
In this day and age.
So, okay. Oh, sorry. Where did you guys lose me? Because I think it was probably when I was posting the link, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess I'm not sure exactly where I dropped off, but so I'll start a little bit back there. So, like I said, I put this together, and I'll just read to you a little bit from the post because I can't kind of put it better than that for right now. So here's the motivation for this Project ThunderWhale thing. What if I told you that you could harness the power of a whale without having to have 1 million steam power? What if it was totally decentralized and you could keep your posting key to yourself and you don't have to invest your money in a stranger's account and hope they use the SP to vote you up? And then the abstract is, we propose a decentralized voting pool system which automates the process of pooling votes. Votes are cast by an app which all users of the pool install on their device. To receive a vote from the pool, a vote must be from a pool member and it must have a quorum of votes by current pool members. Users are not required to share their posting key with a trusted third party. So the basic idea being that, when we work, obviously as a whale, if you have 1 million SP, when you vote, the sort of power of that SP is included in your vote. And that's why whale votes are worth so much. The issue has been that value actually gets squared. And as you probably know, when you square a number, it gets a lot bigger. And so it's explained in detail in the article, but from my understanding, the idea is that, even let's say you have a whale that has 1 million steam power, and then you have a bunch of minnows who each have 1,000 steam power. All the minnows voting separately on stuff they like ends up not having anywhere near the net effect of that one whale voting on something, because of the way that the squaring works on the voting. But the theory is that if all the minnows in some way agree to vote on something and vote it up, then they'll have that same effect.
You're cutting out again.
Oh, hello?
Yeah.
Am I there?
Yeah, you are here now. You were cutting out there for a second, though.
It must be the internet, because I'm definitely holding the button now. So, so sorry about that. But so I guess just read you can check out the paper. I'm just looking for support on people reviewing the idea and reviewing the what's in there. And if you like the idea, upvoting it, sharing it, contributing to it, because I think it'll be a non-trivial thing to develop. But I am a developer, and I also am happy to work with other developers and stuff to make something like this happen. And I think if it can work, it can be I got into Bitcoin and everything because I love the idea of decentralization. And I love some of the curation guilds and everything that are happening, but I'd really love it if it were decentralized. And I think this is a way to do that.
I've found myself wondering about a similar type of thing. My idea was something around like having a witness that never powers down, and there would have to be a way of getting tokens that you could then just like send tokens to it and it would upvote things, or maybe every user gets one if it has over X amount of steam power per day. This is a little bit simpler, and I think a good way of empowering a bunch of people to work together to get things upvoted. Data security node's asking a question though. Data, are you there? You want to ask it out loud, or do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I'm here. So this seems like I still don't understand what the benefits of this are, since this seems to be how Steam already works, other than to get a bunch of people together, a bunch of minnows, and give them the capability to be able to basically pool their votes together in a quorum.
Yeah, so and that's in the paper that this is not, this can be done right now, but I just think it's not happening. So when I see posts that get voted up to large numbers, it's always that big whales have gotten involved. But the idea with this, here's the idea. If it would work that people could just get together and vote on stuff, then posting your link in the Steemit chat channels could, might result in more success than I've seen it sort of result in. So here's the main idea. Like, we're not all on our computers all the time. We all have this SP. Some days I'm busy and I can't even look into what's going on Steemit. The idea with this is that you have this app running in your computer. You're part of this group that is in the pool, and you all have the SP that can be used. Since you've agreed to be part of this group, you're kind of trusting some of the other members of the group to do curation, this sort of decentralized curation, just by upvoting on Steemit. And your app will kind of notice that the group's upvoting certain things, and when it tilts at a certain point, you all upvote. So it's automated. I could be on a vote and yet supporting the pool with my steam power.
Now, go ahead. Sorry, Dave.
So what happens when a whale joins this network that has basically much more impact than everybody else? It's just basically going to pad the power he already has.
Well, that's a good question. So, like I said, please post that comment in the paper. I can't come up with a solution to that right now, but I'm open to all discussion. It's sort of a white paper request for comments discussion. So I think that there's probably a solution to that, possibly including having an upper limit of the amount of SP you can have and be of the pool. I don't know. Or maybe everybody can get along and there's some way to work that into the project. So I'm not sure, but I think it could be solved.
I was away from Steemit for about 4 days this week, and I definitely like the idea of something, some way to not be wasting my curation power when I'm not there.
Yeah. Thank you. That's definitely part of the idea. So, and I think, in the beginning, it would probably just be one thing, but I think one thing that could be kind of fun would be, this could be these sort of decentralized curation guilds where if you only want to be part of a group that's uploading certain types of content or something, then maybe maybe there's not just one group that's running this app. Maybe there are different groups and you can be in a different one.
That's what I was wondering too. So you're seeing it as something where it would be open sourced and everybody could use it for their own type of group voting. And you could say, well, you can only vote on this tag for this bot or to be part of this group. Or you can only vote on X, Y, and Z tag to be part of this group or something like that. That's
right. Yeah. And I think, I've been writing software for a long time, so I don't want it to get too complicated in the beginning, but I think there's cool things you could do to also increase the sort of integrity of it. Like, for example, maybe when it sees something tilting, it sends up an alert and says, hey, or maybe it sends you an email or a text and says, hey, I think I want to upload this thing. And you get this text message and you're like, oh my gosh, this looks like junk. And you reply back and say, or, I don't know, something like that, or at least an app, you can open the computer and go to the app and say, hey, I don't want to be part of uploading that, and sort of opt out of uploading that one and that sort of thing. So I think there's a potential to have it be, this sort of bridge between an automated way of voting and in manual curation. And again, with just the goal, it won't have more power than a single whale does right now. Unless we get, even if we get 1,000 people with 1,000 SP together on this, it would equal one whale with 1 million SP. And there are many of those. So I think it's just sort of trying to give people a chance to level the playing field. And I think the other ideas about having an account that has a lot of SP that votes, I think that's great. I actually don't have a problem with that, but I've just kind of been around long enough to see that those things can go wrong, and it's not always malice on someone's part. They just can't handle it anymore, or they lose the key or something, and now there's this account with all this SP that everybody's invested into, and it's like, what do we do now? So I just like this, even though it makes it more complicated, it's decentralized, so that's why I posted it.
So what if we flipped it, based on my question, in regards to a whale being able to come in and just kind of suck it all up? What if you have yourself, as Stan liked to call it, a benevolent whale, which would be interested in joining this network for the purpose of being able to pad it, for the purpose of all the minnows being able to attach to the whale and thus be able to gain the benefits from it?
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it too. If you can just actually set the order in which the votes would go out. And what would be cool is if that happened, Data, and I could be part of a network, let's say with the people who are in BitShares that I am really good friends with, and I know and I trust. I know that they've done a lot of good work, right? I want to follow them, and it says rather than me having to go find all their content, it says X, Y, and Z, you just upvoted, or you're about to upvote X, Y, and Z's content, is that okay? And then I can just say yes or no. And, if I were to be able to be notified via a desktop, a cell phone app, like what Good Karma has, maybe even like eSteem, it's something to think about, Good Karma, since you're here. Those are the types of things that, we might be able to do that. Wouldn't it be cool if you could have a notification where you just automatically were going to upvote this person that is part of a group that and trust, and that would be a tool where it auto votes it and kind of sends it out, and you can say, yes, I want that to remain auto voted, or I can unvote it, or something to that effect.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And actually, I'm an eSteem user, so I would obviously Good Karma done a lot of the work. So maybe that's, I mean, in the proposal, I talked about a desktop app because I just wasn't, I've done mobile apps before, and you can have so many issues with the Apple Store not liking that you're doing something, that you're voting people and it's making money. But maybe if it's just a feature in eSteem, I mean, that'd be awesome. Because that sort of slips it through. eSteem's already in the stores. So, I mean.
Well, the reason I bring this up is just because it would help. A lot of people don't realize that the whale problem goes two ways. And I'm only a mini whale, but I still feel it. Because, there's a lot of stuff that I would prefer just to give a network of people I trust the ability, like pretty much everybody in this room, I would actually trust to probably upvote good content for me. And then I could actually focus on building this platform more to help all of you guys. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the type of stuff. Those are the types of tools that I think would be helpful for me, at least. And I do understand the danger if things are misused, but man, we have to find a way of like the community being able to deal with actors who are using the tools that we provide for the wrong types of things. If we don't, it's a big problem, and I don't see whales joining onto this as necessarily being a big problem, especially if there are a couple whales who are doing a lot of big damage. If there's a crazy whale that's going around in the ocean busting up all the coral reef, then maybe a couple of the whales need to club it occasionally, or maybe the entire ocean needs to come together and like surround it and be like, no more. Organizing and coordinating is, I think, the thing that I like about the tool, man, the idea of it.
Yeah, and I mean that's because obviously misuse is always a concern, and I just think it's a lot easier to misuse one account that has 1 million SP, and I'm not than it would be for. I mean, even if you have whatever a quorum is determined to be, you still have to have people sort of agreeing on what to upvote, and so now you have at least multiple people having to agree to try to do something, which it's just hard to get people to agree on anything. So I think that there'll be hopefully less incentive. And the idea would be, there would be a lot of, it wouldn't just be people who don't know anything. There were a lot of people who were savvy enough to join this sort of thing and have to go through the step of installing the app and all that sort of stuff. We're going to be people who are dedicated, hopefully, and trying to, use this for good. So, which won't always happen. But again, like I said, I don't think it's any worse than a whale, having a lot of power that they can wield. So,
well, there could even be ways. You're talking about a minimum viable product with one idea, and though data is correct that there are ways that you could use it wrong and there are ways that you can use it good, and I mean, you said the same thing, to do good. It's kind of something where if we keep innovating and we create new use cases, I think that, or new ways of using it, for instance, like, maybe this whale bot enables me as a guild leader to say, you have to do this, this, and this to be able to, you have to have a reputation of 60 plus to be able to get into this bot. You know what I mean? Like, or you have to have X amount of posts that have been upvoted by at least 20 people to get onto this bot, because on this thread or under the tag on Steam, you could put conditions in there. If people could put conditions in there, that might be a really valuable way of moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why I like the idea of it being an app and everything, and it would be open source. And so, it goes to the extent that if someone goes, because obviously that is one, it's decentralized, but if it is an app, it's obviously there's logic in the app. And as we've seen with all projects, like the code always tends to be kind of centralized because only so many people can work on a specific piece of code. But it would definitely be possible to fork it and just change the logic. So people could even say, well, I like this idea, but I don't like your logic. And so I'm going to fork the code and just change the logic for choosing what posts get automatically recommended for upvote or upvoted. And there you go. These people can choose to do it a different way. So,
yeah, well, I'm down for a bunch of different tools. I honestly think that witnesses should be basically accounts that people can attached to and get to vote certain ways by upvoting. I think that witnesses, it's potentially very dangerous the way the witness situation is right now. But that's just because we're in beta. This is a big step for mankind.
Yeah.
So we could say that there's a lot to still work on, but there are people like you out there trying to come up with the solutions. So thanks for helping out, man. And is there anything that that you would like to say to anybody who might want to help you with any of these projects or these ideas?
Yeah, definitely. Get in touch with me on Steemit chat or my email. I have an email, nonlinear1 at tuta.io, which is also in that post. And let me see. And so there's that. So I definitely, I don't want to do this alone for sure. I just put the post out there alone because I've just found it's, just get the idea out there and see what people think. If it's bad, we just won't do it. It seems like there's interest, so that's good. So, definitely comment on the post, share the post, do whatever. And then if you want to get more involved, contact me. I do, it's early in the whole idea. So we'll be seeing how it plays out over the next couple of days at least as well. But I'm excited anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, nonlinear one, if you want to, I will work with you and gladly put my whale account behind upvoting stuff if you can help me help it curate the Beyond Bitcoin tag first and foremost, and then we can work on some other solutions. And I'll gladly even maybe toss you some Steam-backed dollars from what I'm earning in these Hangouts, because that's what this is all for. Is the Steam-backed dollars I earn is to go toward tools that will help with this stuff for community organization and building. And I will help you out with this to the best of my ability, especially if you're willing to, try to get people on board to help change or give people the ability to change parameters for entry and things like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. And that's that's really great. And I think that and that's the other thing. Yeah, people can have an account. The project, it's the @ThunderWhale account. I set that up so that people want to donate, they can donate right to there. I'm going to be sending any Steem dollars earned on the post, the white paper post, to that account. And if anyone wants to donate to support the project, because again, like I said, I've been doing software development for a long time, and projects don't, it depends, but it's hard to make a really ambitious and good project happen without real backing and, to get some real people to help build it properly and everything. So,
so thank you. What do you think would be required for that?
Well, I'm not sure. So,
okay. Well, I guess we'll have to revisit it then.
Yeah, I did put, so I threw a number in the paper and I said, I put a number in there and I said 25,000 Steem dollars, which I know sounds like a lot of money, but you can't get any app built by any company for less than that, like a traditional app. And, this being something that is, beyond traditional to evolving the blockchains and all that stuff, that was what I came up with. I'm not saying it's perfect and maybe it's totally out of whack in one direction or the other, but that was what I came up with there. So definitely looking for support.
Okay, well, I'll say this. If we can get a list of the different things that you'll need in kind of an itemized version, I can bring it to, if you post about it and give everybody the kind of a detailed list of what it would entail, so people can feel a lot more trust toward it and knowing exactly what it's going toward, and documenting it kind of a little bit, I will gladly approach people that I know to try to get you some support for the post.
Cool. Yeah, I will try to get that done. I may not, it may take me more than just today because I got to get to some other stuff today, like work.
Of course.
But yeah, I can try. And the other way that I look at it is, look, it's not, it's, again, it sounds like a lot of money to raise for a project, but it's like, we're at Steemit here, and people earn $15,000 on an introduce yourself post, or they earn $30,000. I know that that's not happening as much anymore, but there are big amounts of Steem dollars floating around, and I just think that they can hopefully support things like this. But I agree with you that coming up with itemization and everything makes sense. I just like I said, I posted this last night, so didn't get there yet.
Yeah, man, that's why I put the SBD that's earned here toward the stuff, and that's why you see me very rarely posting anything that will make a lot of extra money, because I think it's kind of unfair for me to, like, just posting these. I get Steem power, and if I have a long-term view and I get enough long-term view people with me, then the Steem power will be worth a lot. And if I give SBD that's from these Hangouts to help build things that we need, then I feel like that's a good thing and what most whales should be doing. So, we have to kind of live the change that we want to see, but it's not always easy. But yeah, I will say that thank you for living the change that you want to see. I know that you have a real life job in addition to everything else, man. So I just want to thank you. Okay, Good Karma, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Right.
Not really. We still need a little louder, please.
Okay, I will try to speak louder.
Well, Good Karma, you are still working on eSteem, which the hashtag is Steem Mobile, and another one is eSteem, which is actually the name of what Steem comes from. But anyway, and the second mobile application is SteemMonitor.
Yes.
And you were wanting to join and talk a little bit about eSteem?
Well, yeah, it's main focus is the still eSteem mobile application, but SteemMonitor is just an extra application mostly it was for the witnesses, and then later I decided to add some price tickers and the charts from the market so it would have wider audience. So.
Awesome. So you actually have added a lot more to Steem, or is that SteemMonitor that you're talking about?
Well, okay, let me talk first about the SteemMonitor, what it does, and the short kind of description about it. So this SteemMonitor is basically the idea was to give witnesses some notification when they miss the blocks, when their witness node is down, or if their server is crashed. So in case of when they start to miss blocks, this SteemMonitor can send them push notifications so they know something is wrong with their server and they can go and fix that. So that was the main idea, and later I talked with a few witnesses and they said it's only small number of users who will use this application. So then I thought maybe I can add some more information about the Steem blockchain, like what's the latest block number, or who witnessed that block, and what's the current price of the Steem, and so on. So yeah, then just this application came up, and I think in the next version, in the next couple versions, I can add charts and some extra features where any average user can use it.
Did you say charts or chat?
Charts. It's a market where they can see the price and the fluctuation.
So you have been adding on to SteemMonitor. Is that on the Google Play Store as well?
Yeah, it's on both stores available. It's initial release, and in the next version or two, I will start adding some market details about the current Steem price and the Steem dollar price and so on. Yeah.
And if anybody wants to monitor the Steem witnesses and call them out at any given moment in time, they can use this as well.
Yeah. That's basically the idea. So app doesn't require any login or any information. It just generates the random number for the device, and anyone can turn on any witness notification. So whenever that witness misses any block, they will get notification.
That's really cool. And that's a very handy tool for people who are wanting to be witnesses. Now, out of curiosity, does SteemMonitor, would this work with something like other graphene-based programs like BitShares or PeerPlays? I mean, are these types of things possible to be built?
Yeah, basically the application just fetches data from the WebSocket. I think considering Steem and BitShares are same technology, I think by changing the WebSocket from the settings page, you can easily see the numbers. But I assume there will be some changes because BitShares obviously has different structure.
You see, that would be cool to see different things like that too. I mean, it's interesting to see whenever you have a developer, Good Karma, you're obviously one who spends a lot of your time at your craft, right? Because I can tell because you said, well, why couldn't I just add this or why couldn't I just add that? You're not done with what you want to build, right? You want to keep adding stuff on. So the only reason I ask this is because it seems like it would be a potentially valuable way of getting more work and more traction too, because you could have something like this for multiple chains. Because graphene is just going to keep catching fire as more people notice what's possible with it, right?
Yeah, I think that if the structure is same, it can easily be changed and use the same application for different chains. Yeah.
I might have to reach out to some people and connect you with some people, man. I think there's a lot of stuff that you could be doing too. I love what you're doing already. Is it eSteem picking up some traction?
Well, yes, and well, I wanted to ask your opinion. I guess you said last time you started using it, so I want to know what your thoughts about it, and have you checked out all the features and what did you like, what didn't you like?
Well, right now I'm using it on my Galaxy Note, but I will say that I still have it's a little bit slow whenever I'm paging through it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the feature of being able to bookmark different posts and people and stuff like that. That's one of the big features that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And notifications. That's another one that was really good, because what I think we need on the steemit interface is like, hey, pop, it pops up and you can actually see like a notification of this person posted this person posted this while you were away, kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I have that, if I can go through and upvote their content just right there, because I think that a lot of people forget, I don't think that people recognize quite yet that steemit was never meant to be something where I only upvote things that, I don't upvote people who are friends that I trust. I think of Steem more as, this is a place where I can put some of my money and my community can put some of their money to store it away, and they can upvote each other's content and help each other. And if they become detrimental to the ecosystem and they're not trying to provide value, because everybody provides subjective value, right? But if they're detrimental to the community, like for instance, somebody in my network that I always upvote without reading their stuff, I find out that they start posting, images, naked images and all kinds of weird things that they're not supposed to be posting, that's, illegal, or like illegal, naked, weird stuff. Who knows what people could post. If I find out that they're doing that, though, I won't upvote them. I'll just kind of take them off of my followed thing. If I could use it, open it up and just upvote the things that the people who I see, who I trust, that would be a very good start, or auto upvote all of them at this amount, because as we scale, people are going to realize that curating is going to be a heck of a job in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think later on we will see less followers. I mean, right now we have more followers. I mean, everybody starts to follow everyone, but later on people start to unfollow people and we will see less and less followers, or people follow who they really interested in, and I think that will change how system works a little bit. And I mean, there are a lot of functionality in app already, which is still unknown to a lot of people. I mean, probably users who finding out. I mean, who using it daily, they find out what is it and what kind of functionality it has. I mean, I can talk about few of them, which is different than what steemit.com provides. So one of them is, as you mentioned, is the bookmarking. Another one is the notifications, where they get notification when someone follows them, unfollows them, or if someone votes them, and when they make comment on your post. And in future, in next few updates, I think I will add mentions when someone mentions you.
That's awesome.
And another feature is, which I think is cool, is, I mean, it came from one of the users who suggested that, is that, I mean, most of posts have at least one picture right now, and you can open any post, and there is in-app built gallery mode, then where you can open the gallery and see what images that post has, and you can just zoom in and zoom out, because being the mobile user, there is usually, you have a limit with the screen sizes, so you cannot see all the pictures. So that gallery mode gives you the ability to zoom in and zoom out and see all the pictures, and then just continue reading. And yeah, and what else? Yeah, I guess yeah, a lot more cool features. I just hope that people try it out and see and give more suggestions, improvements, and
yeah, I like I said, I've been using it. I really love having the app. One of the recent updates, I was having some stability issues, but that seems to be solved now. So thank you. And one thing at first I thought I couldn't like comment on comments and that sort of thing, but then I accidentally swiped left on a comment, and then I saw the option to comment on it or up and down vote it and everything. Yeah. But I mean, that took me a long time, so maybe some indicator to the user somehow that maybe they, you know what I mean? Because I don't know, maybe I'm just old and that should have been obvious. I didn't realize that that's what I needed to do. I kept trying to click on it and stuff, and so that was my one big feedback thing. But I really love the bookmarking as well. And I don't know, it's just really great to have an app, and it seems like you're improving it all the time. So it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Well, you are right. It's, I mean, there are, as I said, it's a lot of features which is just hidden, and you just have to discover it. Right now, I haven't been able to just keep updates about what new feature is. I mean, I try to put everything in the post and details. I think not a lot of people read it, so that's why I guess later on I'm thinking maybe more videos or more animated kind of.
Yeah, I think here, I mean, people aren't going to like to hear this, but I think that the Steemit community needs to get their heads out of their butts and like pay attention to your project, because people are earning. Some people are earning like $8 or $9 grand for posting that they have a screenshot of a project which happened within the past couple of weeks or something, and here you are, like, you have this app that works and stuff. So I hope that people can go check it out and try it, because it's a real Steam Android app that, I mean, so
hey, Nonlinear, can I ask you a question? I mean, you want to do this project ThunderWhale, and good karma. Did you hear what he was talking about?
Yes, I mostly was here. Yes.
I mean, do you see the potential for functionalities like that being built into an Android wallet, where you can auto upvote different people at different percentages and things like that, or you can move together with, pool together with different people to auto upvote, maybe as one person votes for different tags or stuff like that. Like I set you as the guy who upvotes all my stuff on the coding tag, and things like that. Like, do you see the potential for a lot of that stuff?
Well, I think it can be implemented, but it again comes down to the security issues. People don't trust their voting power to someone else. I mean, right now from app you can just one way to solve this would be just add some notification or subscription to the user. For example, if one user posts something, you get notified that that user posted and you can upload them. I mean, you can basically get the message when your followers or when someone you subscribe to posted something, and you can just vote it yourself. I think that would be doable and security proof, I guess. But other way, just auto voting is kind of very difficult in a way, the security issues, and you have to trust someone
with the key. Yeah, like because the bot itself would have to have that key.
Yeah.
Well, I think the idea is the key is already in the app, right? So if you're not giving your key to a bot, you have, like, basically think of this app that you have as a bot. It's running on your phone. It's something that runs in the background. It's a bot, basically. It just, right now it doesn't auto like upvote stuff. But if there were logic in there that had, and it could be complicated logic so that it's, hopefully hard to game, although we see, that can happen. But I guess the idea being that the app becomes a little bit like a bot itself. So it's not calling some external server that has a key on it or something. The key's in the app, and you're just like, you've told the app, yes, it's okay to like upvote if this group of people that I consider my pool or my gang or whatever, if 10% of those people upvote something, I want to upvote it too. Or I want an alert that says, hey, I'm going to auto upvote this unless you decline within the next 5 hours. Something. I just, so that's sort of where I'm coming from, the idea. But I can see what you're saying, that some people, could see that as potential for abuse and all that. So,
yeah, I think we can explore this more and see where it leads us. I think it's really good idea and might help you to not. I mean, at some point, people want to be disconnected from their phones, or they might just have some time off. So that would be a good future for that purpose, I think. And eSteem has a lot of features. I mean, I don't know if you have discovered that yet, but comments are usually, you tap on one comment and see the child comments. So in case you're wondering where is the child comments or where is the sub comments, you can just tap on the main comment and it opens the rest of the comment parts.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't think I had found that either. It was partly because I just like the way I've been using it is I love getting the alerts to see who's following or what it's something, or when they make a comment or something. And then I will sometimes then just go on the computer anyway. But I also just love reading it in the app and being able to upvote easily from right there and stuff. So, but yeah, the comments, I think I'm missing a lot of the features there. So I appreciate that tip because I'll be using that now.
And there is the transfers. I don't know if anyone used that yet, but that's also functional where you can transfer Steem and Steem dollar.
I think that's cool. I think I haven't used it, and I was a little bit, hesitant because I try to be paranoid about my active key. Although I just think, I think, and this is part of why I'd like to see more people get interested in your project with the eSteem, because I just like there to be, the more people that are using it, obviously that's great, but also hopefully the more developers who are monitoring the code, and it's open source, right? So the more people can look at it and say, hey, I think that your active key is safe with this app or whatever, because, that's just going to be a concern, even though I think it seems like it's more safe because it's it's an Android app versus, you're using a web page. it probably is more secure, but since it's not an official Steemit Inc. app, people are always going to worry a little bit about, people who worry about this thing are going to be worried about putting in their active key or whatever.
Yeah, you're right. I think earlier I saw in someone in the chat that asked about business model and what are the plans and roadmap, and yeah, well, in Steemfest and other conferences, I think in October we have one in Oslo, and I will be visiting there, and as well as I will be in Steemfest. So I will talk about these things. Right now I'm just putting things together and making up this roadmap, and I will talk about it and how to move forward. And
yeah, that's great. And I think people need to remember that people think Google was sort of profitable from day one, but they were losing $1 million a month at first.
Wow, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, they were losing $1 million. They got funding from Sequoia Capital and everything, and they were totally anti-ads. They were never going to have ads. They, the guy who invented the first ad-based search engine showed up, and they were like, "Just leave. We don't want to talk to you." And then they stole his idea, and then they became, Google. But they were losing $1 million a month for, I think it was years or something. And then it was like all of a sudden, the first time they had one ad, it was like they were gonna, you could tell it was gonna take off. So yeah, it's not always clear in the beginning what the monetization is, but.
Well, I started off with if you have seen my post, I guess 2 months or 3 months ago when I started, I just started with just the wrap version of steemit.com, and then later on I thought there is a need for the mobile application, and just keep adding features and just expanding and getting more users basically. Right now we have more than 1,000 users on Android and around 800 users on iOS devices, so that's quite good achievement, and I think this number is increasing.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's funny because people get a twisted idea of how many people is a lot to install an app, because they hear about like Facebook has 1 billion installs and Instagram has 1 billion installs, but those are the major edge cases. For apps starting up, 1,000 is really good. I mean, that means people are interested. So I think that's exciting too.
Yeah, I guess there is more like some trust issue from the users as well, but yeah, it's growing, and yeah, I'm trying to be more transparent as I can, and app is open source, and yeah, everyone can follow up my blog post and see where it's going and what changes are being made. And
well, I like what you're doing, man. I really want to say, and it hasn't been out that long, has it?
It has been like 2 months, I guess. I started working on July, and immediately I started publishing, because I like to get the user feedback and work with them and try to increase from there. So
you just started making a push to kind of get people knowing about it on Steam really hard, it seems like, because you've come back here now. You were here last week to give some updates, and you came back this week, so obviously you're starting to get some traction from people listening to these and talking to you about what you're going to be doing, and now you're going to be going to Steemfest. So it sounds like you're going to be gaining more and more users, man, and the app is nice. I mean, like I said, it's not perfect yet for my phone, but I can go around and look on it.
Yeah, certainly it's getting better with each update, and of course this feedback helps, of course, from users. So I mean, if you have any issues, just leave a comment, and so that we can work on that and improve it. So I guess the latest version, which was the 2. I made a couple hours ago, that should have a lot of performance optimization. So it should have also some of the good features where you can see the details of post, how much payout, and what's when is the payout, and some detailed information. And you can also see the voters info, where you click on the number and you just see how many people voted and who voted with what voting weight and their reputation. and yeah, it's getting better and better.
I'll say this: you guys are all transparent about everything that you're doing, and I greatly appreciate that, and I know that everybody else who's part of the ecosystem appreciates it. And I'll go further to say that if you guys, any of those who are attending today, who are listening, if they are interested in holding their own hangouts, this server is open for anybody. I will gladly make you your own room where you can hold your own hangouts. The biggest thing that I want to do is allow people to have the ability to be able to cover what they're doing and bring together, like, for instance, Good Karma, I think about you, or Nonlinear One, I think about you. And I think you guys have initiatives that you guys want to work on. You could have your own hangouts and provide, like a weekly meeting for everybody who hears about what you're doing, and let everybody join up. It might start out with 1 or 2 people, but if you keep covering it and you get people giving feedback and joining up, even if it's only a 15-minute update, eventually the groups of people who follow you and provide feedback for you and work with you in different ways is just going to grow. So I want to let you guys all know that this tool is here for you guys, and I'm trying to support people using it because I value it myself, and I know how valuable it can be if people recognize the voice that it gives all of us. So I just want to let you guys all know, and I want to let you guys all know thank you for joining up, and to please consider reaching out to people and asking them to upvote the RSVP threads and the actual posts for our Hangouts, because, like I said, I am using SBD earned to build tools, and along those lines, if you are somebody who likes to organize communities and run different things and help get people working together, please reach out to me, because I would like input on the things that we're going to be building, because I want those tools to be available for all of us, and they're going to all be open source. So if you guys help me, I'm promising you that we can all work together to build the tools that we need.
I think that's awesome, and thank you. And I was going to mention, because I keep forgetting to ask you about this, but I'm interested in possibly having a channel too, because as I've talked to you before about, I run a blockchain meetup that's in Phoenix, Arizona once a month, and we talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Steemit, and everything. But I thought it would be great to have something, because there are people in Arizona who are interested in kind of being part of that, but they're in Sedona, or they're in Tucson, or they're in Phoenix and they can't leave the house or whatever. So anyway, I just think, or they don't want to, So I think it could be cool to have some kind of an online component to that group. So I mean, I'd be interested in having a channel for that. So yeah.
Well, Nonlinear One, I've got a 2.5-year-old that I watch during the day, and my wife works during the day, and I generally have worked at night for the past, because we have a 2.5-year-old. So for me to be able to travel is, so it's a lot of different things. I know that for me, one of the main reasons I started this up was because back in the day, I looked up the local Bitcoin meetup, and it was up in Nashville at this, 35 minutes away. And I was like, my gosh, I can't make it up there. Like, I can't, that's an hour and 10 minutes. And, if I get caught in traffic or a wreck, this is on, there's just a lot of stuff that you can't, to have this is truly, it cuts out those boundaries, and you could actually have a mic live whenever you're doing your meetup too, so you could literally have your meeting in here where nice. Where I could join your meetup from there, but yeah,
that's cool. That's a cool idea. So, and plus, I mean, I as you know, and as a lot, having some content to share, obviously, like the YouTube videos that we make for the meetup are great because they're content that people can view and then gets people interested in the group. But I love audio. I listen to podcasts all the time, and that's part of why I love your show here. And so I think it'd be cool to have, not only would be a meetup and way for people to meet up, but it could become like a podcast type thing on SoundCloud. So, yeah, if I can somehow fit that into everything else that's going on, I'll do that.
Well, that's why we have a community, guys. Like, we can all work together on a lot of this, on a lot of this stuff. Like I said with you, whenever you came up with a couple ideas, I was like, well, that's similar to this idea that I was talking about, that I was thinking about doing. And when you realize that a lot of us have a lot of crossover on what we want and what we want to build, once we get that out of the way, a lot of the work has been done. Then we can have fun a little bit more without all the responsibility, because then we'll have tools that will help us not worry about the responsibility quite as much.
Yep.
But anyway, thank you guys very much for showing up.
Thank you. You're doing a great job, and thanks guys for having me here. And just leave a comment and let me know if you have any feedbacks on applications. So thanks.
La 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 la.